Hello Cal67 Gaming, back again with another ad hoc video. This is one of these videos where I look at a particular topic and talk you through it. This came about because obviously Christmas just gone. Aidan did pick up the Smash Brothers Ultimate and we were having a conversation, and he did ask how long the franchise had been going, and I was able to explain to him that it had been going since the late 90s, so around about 20 years. His initial reaction to that was that it must be one of the longest running game franchises that there is. I was pretty sure that it wasn't, but actually I wasn't sure which franchises had run longest. Now, I've done a bit of digging and I've come up with a top 10 list. The rules for this is not which was released the earliest up to date, because a franchise it's only alive as long as games are being released for it. So this is the games that have the longest gap between the first release in the franchise and the most recent release in the franchise. It is, as far as I'm aware, correct at time of posting. So let's not waste any more time here. Let's get straight into the list. And you may be quite surprised to find this particular entry so low down. Just scraping into the top 10 is this one.
Sorry, no, ladies. That is mean. But Granny Nakamura is a mother. But not Farah. Di tanoro mattina. Ehi, come tira? Ne distani.
Oh, come on.
Huh? Mire. Hey. Jumpy.
Ah.
So number 10 was the Super Mario Brothers series, or the Super Mario series. Now, this is a bit subjective, this one, because if you take into account Mario's first and last appearances in video games, then obviously his most recent appearance is not in Super Mario Odyssey, it is in Smash Bros. Ultimate, and his earliest appearances go further back than the first Super Mario Bros. There was, of course, Mario Bros. Before then. But what I decided on was that the mainline Super Mario Brothers games or Super Mario games were going to be included. So I did discount anything before the original NES game of Super Mario, and it goes all the way up to Super Mario Odyssey. So that's how I came about that. It's had a good run. It's a little over 32 years between first and last appearance. And I'll be quite honest with you, when I started looking into this, I thought that 30 years was going to be kind of as far as it got, and was surprised that that's not the case. So that was number 10. I don't really have to speak much about the Mario games. I think everyone knows what they're about. So it's time to go straight on with the countdown, which means that the next franchise is the 9th longest running franchise in video game history. So, at 32 years and 3 months, the Frogger franchise, which is one I didn't actually expect to see. Obviously, everyone knows the classic Frogger arcade game, and I wasn't really aware of anything that happened after that. However, looking into these long-running franchises, there is a quite obscure game called Frogger's Crackout that was released on Windows 10. I don't have the game, so you'll notice that there was no gameplay for that. All I could source for it was those screenshots, so that's what you saw there. It seems to be a breakout clone. So you can make an argument that it's not part of the same franchise, as the core gameplay is completely different. However, because they both have the exact same Frogger moniker in the title, I made a decision that that would count as part of the same franchise. So a bit of a surprise there seeing Frogger, but there you go. An obscure game reasonably recently puts it into this list. So that's 2 down. So the next game, or the next franchise, must be the 8th longest running video franchise in history. Well, 32 years and 7 months. Puts this one just above Frogger on our list. This one's far more well known. This one is Donkey Kong, obviously. Now, this is where it gets a bit subjective, because actually I could have claimed this as Mario's first appearance in video games, which would have put Mario much higher up the list. However, as I explained when we'd done that entry, I only counted the Super Mario series of games, and in any case, he wasn't actually called Mario in Donkey Kong. He was known affectionately as Jumpman. The Donkey Kong franchise has stayed true to its roots. It's even with the most recent release, Tropical Freeze, it is at its heart a simple 2D platformer. As you can see graphically, the improvement is immense, as you find with all these games going from earliest release to latest release, and obviously that'll become more pronounced as we go through the list. So that was Donkey Kong, which means that we can now look to see which franchise is the 7th longest running franchise in video game history.
It was my first solo trip away from home. I was well practiced within the safety of the castle walls. But today, my feather was gonna get its first real notch. Every good adventure seeker knows to be prepared, and I most definitely am. Acorn's legendary adventuring rope, check. A Chaka's bow that Grandpa used on many a quest, check. Who knows what danger lurks out here? Trusty hatchet, check. Oh, well, I guess that's it.
All right, Yarble Snoofs. Come out, wherever you are. I need that tracking badge.
What? A queen still needs to develop new and important skills. You can always be better. Yeah. Okay, that was pretty good. These prints are all over the castle stables, so definitely snoot tracks. Huh. What would Grandpa do? I felt as though I was at a loss for what to do. And then I remembered. I was a 4th-ranked Wetzel Wolf Scout. I needed to slow down and observe what was around me.
So number 7 on our list goes to King's Quest. Now, this is not a franchise that I'm at all familiar with. I'm sure there's a lot of people who have grown up on this series and be screaming at the screen right now. But it's, if you have a look at King's Quest 1, it's obviously a graphical adventure. Something that at the time would have been massively groundbreaking, as anyone who knows, these early adventure games tended to be text adventures. So rather than seeing what was happening, everything that was happening, you had to see in your own imagination, which I guess in one way is the best graphics you can get. So going from King's Quest 1 to King's Quest Epilogue, you can see just how far the franchise has come. The basic idea of it appears to be still exactly the same. It's at its heart, it is a graphical adventure game, which you play through as single character. I'm not going to try and tell you anything about King's Quest, as I said, it's not a franchise that I'm particularly familiar with, as those who know far more about it than me. If you're one, give me a little bit of info in the comments below, because having researched this list and seen the games, it's something that I would like to try and get into, is to play a bit more King's Quest. So we're now up to the franchise, which will be the 6th longest running franchise in video game history. So from a franchise that I know very little about to a franchise that I absolutely adore and have done for decades. This is the Bomberman franchise, from its earliest release in '83 right up until Super Bomberman R. The core gameplay is identical. Graphically, it has improved greatly, but the core gameplay was so good to begin with. Why would you ever want to change it? We did recently play through Super Pac-Man R as a co-op playthrough here on the channel. If you're interested in that, there is a playlist if you want to look for that, and you can see us play through the whole campaign in Bomberman R. But the franchise itself is a franchise that I just, as I say, love for decades. I first encountered it, like many people, on the NES. However, it does predate that by a little while, and number of years it would appear, to the original 1983 release. Great game. Don't know what more I can say about it. It's just massively enjoyable. One of the greatest multiplayer games that has ever been devised. As I say, core gameplay is identical from first to last. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So we get to the top 5, and this game, or this franchise, must be the 5th longest running game franchise in history. Another franchise that I am not overly familiar with is the Ultima franchise. I've always been aware of its existence, but it's not a game that ever really drew me in. And to be fair, nearly didn't make the list because the first game in the franchise doesn't have Ultima in the title at all. A Calibeth. But research has shown that this is certainly part of the Ultima franchise. It is the first game Lord British done in that universe, so I guess it counts. What you'll also have noticed there is that the most recent game is not what you would expect. It is a mobile game. Now, as time goes on, you'll probably find that this will happen more and more, obviously because mobile or cellular phones are far less powerful than desktop PCs or top of the range consoles. They can't handle the same games, they don't have the processing power to do it. So it makes sense to hark back to these older franchises which were established at a time when actually home PCs, home consoles were probably not even as powerful as the smart device that you carry around in your pocket. So as much as people don't like it, and I think with the Diablo announcement not so long ago, fans did voice their disapproval that it was going mobile. Obviously it's not just Diablo, Command and Conquer is going mobile as well, which personally I hate because I would love to get another PC installment of that. But this is the world that we live in, I suppose. So that was that one. We'll go straight on to the next franchise, which obviously will be the fourth longest running video game franchise of all time.
Hello?
Come on, Peter, let's go someplace else.
But Mom, we
No
haven't even...
buts.
Oh! Bitteschön.
Danke.
Good day, ma'am. You, one strawberry milkshake, please. Oh, I hope you don't have a fire back there to put out. If so, I'll come back another time.
I'm sure the fire can wait, Commandant. One strawberry milkshake coming right up.
Fireman, you recognize your face. Very Aryan face it is too. Are you out of Station 1?
There you go, Commandant.
Oh, vielen Dank. Now you, show me your identification papers, please. I love strawberry milkshake. It's perhaps my favorite American thing. So simple. It's just milk and ice cream. The rest of the menu, however, I think you will need to address. I think it needs to be more German. Yes. Tell me, are you from here, John Smith? Huh? I read here that you operate out of Station 6. What is the location of Station 6? I'm unfamiliar with this station. Speak up.
Kommandant, Sie werden vom Oberkommando verlangt.
War das nicht Zeit? Trink grad noch meine Erdbeermilch.
Leider nicht, Kommandant. Das Oberkommando verlangt, Sie umgehend zu sehen.
In Ordnung, ich komme schon. Mein Gott. Oh mein Gott, das bist du. Du! Blazkowicz, shut the fucking front door!
So the fourth one is the Wolfenstein series. Now, this is where there is a generational gap. For anyone who watches the channel regularly, you know that I don't really like first-person shooters. It's just not a genre that has ever excited me. However, Aidan absolutely loves them, and he will play them all day. And he does actually play the recent Wolfenstein games. I hadn't actually played the original Castle Wolfenstein until I was sourcing it for this this video here, and I actually love the original one. One of my favourite games of all time, one of the games that really hooked me in when I was a kid, was Berserk. The whole maze shooter, and Castle Wolfenstein takes that and puts another layer onto it, where you're searching for keys and bullets and this sort of thing, and it just adds an extra layer of complexity onto the basic idea of Berserk. That I absolutely loved, and if I take nothing else from doing this video, it's that Castle Wolfenstein's a game that I'm going to play all the way through. Absolutely outstanding game, and if anyone hasn't tried it and you're into that whole maze shooter genre, please do try it. It is a wonderful game, but it only makes number 4, which means we are very quickly up to the third longest running video franchise of all time. So this one is obviously the Pac-Man franchise, from the original arcade game up to Pac-Man Championship Edition 2. Now what you'll notice when you see them side by side there is that they look very, very similar. Obviously the graphics are updated a little. Now Pac-Man's one of those franchises that have undergone a lot of shall we say changes as we go on, for want of a better word. Now obviously you had Pac-Land and this sort of thing where the core gameplay was just lost completely in favour of Pac-Man just being a mascot and playing in a platformer, because that was the flavour of the month at the time. There have been some great Pac-Man games. Obviously the original is outstanding. Pac-Mania, which was done in a 3D maze, always loved that game. It introduced a jump, but it was still eating pellets, eating power pellets, taking out the ghosts. This one obviously going right back to the roots of the series with very simple, almost vector graphics, giving it a very retro feel, but with the addition of mission-based levels where you've got to accomplish specific tasks. It's just, again, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Although there was times over the years when Namco have tried to fix Pac-Man to make him flavour of the month. He will always be an iconic video game character, and Namco are free to use him as a mascot for as long as they want. He's certainly earned that position, but it's the pill-eating maze game that we all love. But he's only at 3, which means there's 2 franchises that have lasted longer. This is the first of them. This is the second longest running video game franchise. So between the original arcade release of Space Invaders and the most recent release, again on mobile or cellular phones, Space Invaders has racked up a very impressive 39 years and 11 months between earliest release and latest release. Space Invaders is a game I think very few gamers haven't played. For a lot of us, it was a game that introduced us to gaming, along with contemporaries like Pac-Man. There's not really a lot that you can say about Space Invaders that hasn't been said before. It certainly is a franchise. Every now and again we do see a new Space Invaders games. We all also have seen a huge number of clones. For obviously Galaga and Galaxian spring immediately to mind. But Space Invaders just keeps going. Again, it's kept going on mobile devices, which might not be what everyone wants from the series. And again, a bit like Frogger's Crackout, it's not exactly the same core gameplay, as it's mixed with Arkanoid, which makes it a kind of Space Invaders breakout hybrid. But it's good to see that the franchise survives. And if they ever release another game, they'll break the 40-year mark between first and last releases. And that's no mean feat. So that's the game that's at number 2. Which means the longest running game in history must be this one. Oregon Trail takes it. For those of you who are eagle-eyed, you will notice that this game too has a time between first and last release, exactly as Space Invaders, 39 years and 11 months. The reason that I put this one at number 1, as opposed to having a tie for number 1, or maybe putting them the other way around, is simply because the Oregon Trail was the first game to reach that milestone. The earliest release of this game was just a piece of educational software on a massive mainframe computer in Minnesota, I believe, in 1971. Now I'm going to go out on a limb here. Well, not that thin a limb, but I am going to guess that the vast majority of people who watch this video are younger than that game. I certainly am, although not by a huge amount, just by a few years. And to have been old enough to have this as part of your curriculum at school and play it on the school mainframe back in 71, I would imagine that you would have to have been born sort of late 50s, early 60s. So if there is anyone of that vintage watching the video, please comment below. Especially, if you were lucky enough to play this when it first came out. With this being so early, in 1971, although it's just a simple text adventure, and playing a little bit through there, you can see that is extremely primitive. You get the choice of things that you can do with your time as you go along the Oregon Trail, and every time you hunt, bang, you hit it between the eyes. There's no element of risk or chance in that. But at the time, I'm sure that this was absolutely magical for kids. I don't know if you would have recognised it as playing a game, but certainly, reading a book on a computer screen would have been just absolutely unbelievable. The most recent installment in the series obviously was on the Wii. Very lackluster effort and not particularly praised. I think the heyday of this game obviously was on the NES, where I think there's a lot of, especially people in the US or North America, will have very fond memories of the Oregon Trail on the Nintendo Entertainment System. So there we are. That is the 10 longest running video game series, as far as I'm aware. If you think you know one that should be on the list, please let me know in the comments. I'm always happy to be corrected if it means that I learn something new. However, when I've looked through it, this seems to me to be as good a list as you're going to get. And that's it for the video. So, if you've made it this far, we are quite a long way through into this video. If you have made it this far, please put a like on the video. There must have been something that's drawn you in and kept you here for this length of time. I know that time is very precious, and for you to spend your time with me, I massively appreciate it. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We are a small channel looking to grow, and obviously the only way we're going to do that is to get more subscribers. So please, if you've enjoyed this, please do subscribe. If you wish, you can hit the notification bell, which will tell you when we upload videos. If you don't wish to do that, I absolutely understand. You don't want to get your phone or whatever device you use clogged up with lots of notifications. We do try to be quite regular, maybe 4-5 times a week. Usually not weekends. We try to put up videos around about 6:30 in the evening GMT. So obviously that'll be earlier in North America. If you're in Asia, Oceania, obviously it'll be a lot later. If you want to share this video anywhere or with anyone, please feel free to do so. I'd be very appreciative if you did that. And the most important thing, as ever, when you watch one of these videos, the most important thing that I tell you you can do between now and the next time I see you is to keep gaming.